Yo, what's up, sports fans? It's MaxRyu. The Eastern Conference playoff brackets are set and ready to go. Well, first of all, I want to tell you one thing in advance. Since the playoffs are a whole different atmosphere where anything can actually happen, I want to refrain myself, at least in phase one, on predicting who's actually going to make it to the finals. Because looking into the future is anything less than I and most other NBA fans can really do. I'm not a fortune teller, for God's sake. I don't have a crystal ball with which I can predict the future. But that's the significant excitement of the play of basketball, which sometimes may end up in the unexpected. Let me tell you that I base my predictions on pure personal observations in playing style, tactical division adjustment, and matchup anticipations of the teams. So anyhow, let's get down to business, shall we? Okay, very quickly. Philadelphia, Indiana, and Atlanta have the least realistic chances in going anywhere near the finals. So I have no nerve to break them down since they do not interest me beans. More likely, the New York Knicks can make a first-round series against the Celtics quite entertaining. So let's start with this series first. The Boston Celtics. Well, I must say, I'm disappointed in Boston down the stretch for the last few weeks. I have the feeling they didn't play with the same type of intensity like in the beginning of the season. Rajon Rondo is playing below his usual standards. Well, what the hell is wrong with him, man? Come on, Rondo, get your act together. I am expecting improvement, and your coach, Doc Rivers, will think the same. The motor of this team has become yours, and it will rise and fall with you, man. Well, I thought at the beginning that after the Kendrick Perkins trade, that it didn't affect the Celtics' team chemistry that much, since Nenad Kristic provides some classic fundamental offensive power to make up for the loss of Perkins. But I guess some teams have slowly taken notice and advantage of Boston's loss and toughness that Kendrick Perkins displayed in the paint. In addition to that, with Rondo's playmaking shut down, like I previously mentioned in my latest videos, Boston's big three will have to work a lot harder on offense to create shots, and this is what will wear them down during a long playoff series. To sum it up very quickly, Boston seemingly has lost some poise since the Perkins trade. It affected them in the end more than I actually thought, so if they can get their act together and just start to play with maximum intensity, things will actually get better. As simple as that. The key for Boston is Rajon Rondo's playmaking abilities, which will relieve the burden of the big three and create good looks and screens, and especially for Ray Allen's deadly three-pointers. And another key will be their solid, disciplined team defense, which they, in my opinion, still can display even without Kendrick Perkins. I mean, they just have to play as a team, and Doc Rivers will make sure that they get back on track and be focused to spank the hell out of the naughty New York Knicks. The only other threat from the New York Knicks, in my opinion, I see in Chauncey Billups. You may call me crazy, but since Chauncey Billups displays some NBA championship experience, he's capable enough to knock down some crunch time shots. Well, he's not called Mr. Big Shot for nothing. So in conclusion, the New York Knicks will provide some entertainment against the veteran team of Boston, but not in more than 6 games, which will probably go in favor of the more experienced Boston Celtics. Next, let's take a look at the Orlando Magic and Atlanta Hawks series. Well, since I didn't pay too much attention to Orlando, so very quickly, They have solid matchups in their starting lineup, and on their bench, they have the ultimate low post and defense presence in Dwight Howard. Regular season is only regular season. That means if this team really gets serious come playoff time, they are capable in providing some serious challenges to the opposition. The key elements for the Orlando Magic are obviously Dwight Howard, who draws a lot of attention, that forces the opposition to double team him, and that creates open shots. And the other key element is the clutchness of Jameer Nelson. And in my opinion, Jameer Nelson is one of the most overlooked clutch players in the NBA. He can be very threatening in the clutch, as I've observed in some highlights. Jason Richardson provides some crucial firepower from the outside. Hiro Turkoglu can perform some playmaking abilities. So in conclusion, the Atlanta Hawks shouldn't pose such a big threat to the Orlando Magic. So I say 4-1 for the Orlando Magic. So let's get down to Miami. Okay. So as Bruce Blitz, his Hardcore NBA podcast crew, and I have mentioned so many times before, in Miami, it's practically only LeBron James and Dwayne Wade running the show. Everyone else is playing really below the standards as a supporting cast. Well, okay, Bosh is more suitable than everyone else on the team, but man, Chris Bosh is too freaking slow. He's simply too light for a power forward position and too slow to be a small forward, so therefore he's taking also way too many outside jumpers. So in general, the Miami Heat are not the toughest team in the paint, and I hardly see any post-up game down low, nor do I see them boxing out the opposition in the battle for the rebounds. And that will give them hell of a lot of trouble if they do not change that attitude towards the crucial aspect of rebounding, box out, and hard work. And the post-up game is going to be vital for the Heat if they face teams that can clog the driving lanes that are so essential for LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's Archangel offense. So I'd like to see more post-up game and ball movement in the half court from the Miami Heat. Well, the key for the Heat, and first and foremost, very obviously, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade playing out of their minds for 16 plus playoff games with at least 30 to 40 points apiece to carry an entire retirement party and 3 baby chicks along a truck trailer. Mike Bibby and Mario Chalmers, Mike Miller and Joel Anthony have to step up, man. Mike Bibby is more inconsistent than I thought. Since I still see him somewhat useful, in my opinion it would be useful for Coach Spo to create plays where he can create opportunities instead of him just being a spot-up shooter from LeBron's and Wade's kick and drive. Which leads me to the next key point. Coach Spo has to do a much better job in evaluating and bringing out the talents of the other Miami Heat players, like Mike Bibby's remaining point guard skills. Big Z's outside shot can still be an upgrade instead of letting him tangle down low all the time in the offense. Joel Anthony still has ways to go with his basic offense skills. Chris Bosh should have developed more toughness and a better post-up game until now. So come on, Coach Spo. What have you done in practice all this season? You have practically wasted precious time in neglecting the skills of LeBron's and Wade's supporting cast. You know, such simple strategies like rebounding and boxing out and hustle have been neglected for the entire season. Well, back to the main point, which is breaking down the series against the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, I would say 4-0 because the 76ers are no match for LeBron's and Wade's individual brilliance. Both of them will just get started, and they should be veteran enough to shut the 76ers down. Finally, we move on to Chicago, where the hype for an NBA title has never been greater ever since the 90s. Since the Chicago Bulls start as the favorites for the NBA title, expectations have grown immensely. The team defense and Tom Thibodeau's disciplined coaching have been the key until now, besides the individual brilliance of MVP favorite and candidate Derrick Rose. Bruce Blitz, in the end, had all the rights to be critical and upset with Derrick Rose being overhyped as MVP, and in addition to that, put into comparative perspective with Michael Jordan. Well, I added my bits and pieces to it in video responses. But anyhow, Derrick Rose has done hell a lot to make everything happen, and especially in Joakim Noah's absence, you could see how he really put it up. The other thing, which was also mentioned before, the Bulls do not have a legitimate shooting guard who can knock down shots on a regular basis. So in short, that would have taken a huge burden off Derrick Rose and facilitate chances to counter the firepower of Boston's Ray Allen, for example. Keith Bogans is anything else than a regular spot-up shooting threat. But anyhow, the Bulls have handled themselves very well so far to make up for it. The obvious critical aspect that remains is, despite their excellent regular season record and their home court advantage, are the Bulls really ready to shoulder that role as title favorites and take their game to the next plateau and play more focused than ever? How are they gonna react to unexpected circumstances and mental lapses, if they occur? Well, in my opinion, from a matchup and tactical division standpoint, they have what it takes. And the only ones who have to believe it are Derrick Rose and the Bulls themselves. The key for the Chicago Bulls, is to stay focused, take that excellent team defense and effort to the playoffs onto the next level, and execute Tom Thibodeau's game plans down the stretch. And finally, Derrick Rose has a lot to prove now. This is the first time that he and the Bulls, are gonna be tested for real now. The Chicago Bulls versus Indiana series. The key for the Bulls in this series is to make a statement from day one, right from the start. The first two games, they must put fear into the opposition. The 90s Bulls under Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson have demonstrated it in their first three-peat era very well with their first round opponents. If Derrick Rose and his crew can take a similar poise and higher determination into this series, I would say the series would end in a 4-0 for the Bulls, because they have the skills, but now they must add ferocious determination and brutal killer instinct, like MJ's style. For both the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat to have home court advantage against the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic, it's going to be vital for them, especially for the Heat in a series against the Celtics. This is their only way to win it. So despite their momentary flaws by the end of the regular season, I still see the Boston Celtics as an ultimate threat come playoff time when they get it going. Okay, that was phase 1 of my 2011 Eastern Conference playoff breakdown. I'll be back with the Western Conference soon. Peace.